if we dissect out the variables here, obviously there's Islam is one variable, but it strikes me that's not what explains it in the case of the Palestinians, because you have other majority Muslim groups like Egypt and Jordan that have shown that they are able to reciprocate withdrawal with peace, with a kind of grudging peace, if you want to call it that. What is it specific to the Palestinian narrative that makes it so much more difficult for them to do that?
Well, the Egyptian and Jordanian peace came after attempts at massive, annihilationist war, and they failed disastrously. And then the Egyptians and the Jordanians and others in the Arab world noticed that they don't actually have much interest in Israel. The peace with Egypt is very easy because it's a line in the desert, and we're very far from each other. There's no interaction. We don't have the option of an Egyptian peace with the Palestinians because we live intertwined with each other. There are huge numbers of Israelis who are Palestinian, and there are a lot of Israelis in the West Bank living between and among Palestinians, 6 figures. And even if, by the way, there were no settlements, we would be intertwined with each other. In other words, the West Bank and Gaza are split by Israel, right? So it's so close, and the Temple Mount is ours and theirs, and the center of each identity is the same spot. So we don't have that option of separation. And so the only options left us are reconciliation, some kind of a deep, close process in which we come to deeply respect each other, which means we have to begin to believe that the other doesn't want to destroy me, or victory, and having it all. In Israeli politics, the idea that we have to compromise and pull back has won elections multiple times. Not every political faction in Israel thinks that way. Not every political faction wants peace. Some of them want victory alone. Sometimes they're the linchpin of a coalition. But in 1992, in 1999, in 2006, Israelis elected Ehud Olmert after he, before Election Day, said he plans to pull out of the West Bank. I don't know how many people outside of the Hebrew language know that a man was elected talking about pulling out of the West Bank in 2006. And that, of course, ended similarly to Barak in 2000 in Rivers of Blood in the Second Lebanon War, where 300,000 Israelis are displaced and tens of thousands of rockets fall on our heads. Long story short, the Israeli political system is capable. I don't think it has. I have a lot of criticism, always, and I certainly have a lot of criticism, certainly of this government, but it has proven capable of having that capacity to pull back. And the Palestinian political system, not ordinary Palestinians, there's actually quite a gap between the opinions of ordinary Palestinians and the opinions of maybe the 10% of Palestinian society that's the ideological elites, is holding out for victory. Because to surrender the idea of victory, and this I do think goes back to religion, is too great a price to pay. You have in Hamas a party that is willing to oversee the destruction of Gaza to destroy Israel. Why? Assuming I don't like journalists' sort of keywords like extremist or hardliner. I don't know what those words mean. I have interviewed plenty of Hamasnikim. I've never met a man who calls himself extremist, anyone, right? They have a theory, and it is a religious theory, of redemption. And therefore, it is for that redemption, which isn't just of Palestinians, it's of Islam as a whole. It is worth the destruction of Gaza. That's a price they are willing to pay because they have this grand historical narrative. We're too close to just have a kind of avoidance like we have with Egypt and Jordan. And we're too much enamored with the concept, with the idea that compromise is just too costly and victory is still possible to actually be able to achieve the peace.
I mean, you're just